Mem 140. Noislim beitzim v'mesanenes. We said that you can put an egg in a mustard. It was some kind of like sieve that prepared mustard seeds, and the egg, the yellow color of the egg, was used to color the mustard. Tani Yaakov Korcha l'fishein ois noisoy elagavein, because it's only meant for. It's not meant for eating. So it's not a matter of boirer separating the white from the yellow because you want to eat it. But rather, it's just for color, and therefore, it's not a problem of boirer. Itmar. Chardal shaloshu me'erev Shabbos. You have mustard, and it also needed kneading, just like dough, and that we can't knead. So if the mustard was kneaded from erev Shabbos, L'mochar on Shabbos itself, Amar Rav Mamachol B'kli, you can sort of soften it up with a kli of a lo biyah, but not with your hand, because it's a shinui. So it sounds like normally they did it with their hand, and by using a kli, it's a shinui. Amar leishmuel biyad. What do you mean? Otu kol yom mamachol biyad? Well, we don't do it with our hands. Michael Chamoyrimu, are we going to feed it to donkeys? Amar Shmuel mamachol bayad. On Shabbos, you use your hand because normally you use a kli. Ve'enu mamachol b'kli. You just do it bit by bit. Itmar. Rabbi Lezer Omer echad zeh osir. Kli and yad both are prohibited. Rabbi Yochanan Omer echad zeh mutter. He said both are permitted to use a yad or a kli. Abai v'Rabban Tavayu ain't halach Rabbi Yochanan, but the halacha is not like Rabbi Yochanan. Kan Rabbi Yochanan b'shatzid Rabbi Lozer. Eventually, Rabbi Yochanan switched to Rabbi Lozer to be machmir. But Kan Rabbi Lozer b'shitzid is Shmuel. Eventually, Rabbi Lozer went to the sheet of Shmuel. And Abai v'Rabban Tavayu halach Rabbi Yochanan. To be makel. To prohibit both yad and kli. But the Gemara tells us some stories. Ime d'Abaya, Abdullah v'lo achal. The mother of Abaya made this mustard on Shabbos he didn't eat because he didn't think it was correct. D'visu d'Zeira Abdullah l'Rav Chia barashi v'lo achal. The wife of Zeiri made it for Rav Chia and he didn't eat it. Armalei l'Rav Chia v'lo achal v'ad lo achal. I understand. I made it for your Rebbe. He ate it, and you don't eat it? He mixed the mustard with like a vegetable rather than a kli v'ocha. So the halacha is like none of these. As long as the primary mixing happened on Erev Shabbos. L'machar, memachol ben biyad ben b'kli. On Shabbos, you could mix it further, both with your hand, with the kli. The noise and the soichoy dvash, you can add honey to it. V'lo yitrof el ma'arev. You don't really stir it up heavily. You just do little by bit, and that's the halacha. Shochalayim sheshtachan me'erev Shabbos. Shochalayim is like watercress, like our salad, and they soaked it from Erev Shabbos. L'mochar notes in the soichan shemen v'choybetz. You can add the oil and the vinegar on Shabbos. Umamshich l'soichan amisa. Amisa is mint. The Gemara is going to tell us. Rashi says minta. V'lo yitro elam erev. You don't mix it strong, and you just a little bit by bit. Shum, garlic, sherizko me'erev Shabbos, that you grind it from Friday. L'machar noisim l'soichoy pulu grisin. You can put beans on Shabbos into the garlic. V'lo yischok el ma'arev. You don't grind it well, you just stir it. Umamshech esamisa l'soichan. You put mint in. Ma'amisa ninya. Ninya is mint. Amar Abai Shmamina. Hi nini me'ala tachli. This mint is good for tachli. which is this watercress. V'oisin anumlin b'Shabbos. The Mishnah said we make this drink called anumlin. Did we lose Mario? Yeah.
No.
Ton Rabbanon. What's anumlin? Oisin anumlin b'Shabbos ve'en oisin aluntis. We can make anumlin, but not aluntis. Ezohi anumlin ve'ezohi aluntis. What's anumlin? What's aluntis? Anumlin is yayin, udvash, upilpil. Wine, honey, and pepper. And this was a drink. This was like a cocktail that was drunk for pleasure. Aluntis is yayin yoshin, old wine, umayim tzum, water, v'aparsimon, and persimmon. This was made for medicinal purposes. The avdi lebe masusa lemaker. This cooled you down after going into a hot bathhouse. And we don't allow you to do it on Shabbos because it looks too much like doing something medicinal. Amar Rav Yosef, Zimna chada alis basar mar ukva lebebani. I followed Mar Ukva into the bathhouse. Ki nafki, when he went out, asoy ashken chamer chad kasa. He drank a glass of wine. V'chashem ibinta derashi v'atufa dekari. And he was cold from his head to his fingernails. If you would give me another cup, that Hashem would have had to use all of my reward for Olam Haba to save my life. Mar Ukva used to drink this the whole day. Didn't damage him. Shani Mar Ukva de Doshpe. He got addicted to it. His body got used to it. He developed tolerance to it, and it was not damaging to him. Mishnah. Ein shoirin es achiltis bepoishrin. Rashi says in French, lazari. And this is some kind of vegetable. And they would soak it in warm water. And this water soaked in chiltis would be used for medicine, particularly if you had a heart pain. Aval noisen l'soicha choimetz. You could put it in vinegar, and therefore you could dip your food in it. So that was because that was a food. But the other way, soaking it in warm water is like a medicinal thing. Ve'ein shoylin is a karshinon. Karshinon are beans that would be served to animals. And they would pour water to allow the chaff to float to the top. So you're not allowed to do it because it's boirer. Below shafino son, you cannot rub it between your hands to separate the chaff. That's also boirer. You could put it in a basket or a sieve, and over time, if chaff happens to fall out, you're putting in there for storage purposes, not for boirer. If it happens to be boirer, it's a davar shem iskavein. It happens by itself, and you're not chayv. Ein koivrin es teven bekvara. Teven is straw. You cannot use a sieve to separate the straw from its psoiles. You can't place it on a high place so that over time the wind will, blow away the bad stuff, because that's too much that you're doing boirer. For storage purposes, you can put it into a box or into the place where the animal eats his food, and if the chaff falls away on its own, then that's not a problem, because it's a dover shemis kavin. You put it there for storage purposes, not for boirer. He has a fine question. Shoramai, what if you soaked this chiltis in the warm water? What happens? What malacha did you violate? Tirgum Ravada Narshok made Rav Yosef Shor Chayv Chatas. You're Chayv Chatas for like soaking. Freit the Gemara, Amalei Abayal Me'ata Shor Umsa B'Maya. Hachanami D'Mechayiv. If you took a piece of raw meat and you soaked it in water on Shabbos, would you be chayiv? So why should this be any difference? It's our old friend, Uvda D'Chol. It's something that you do during the week, so it's not Shabbos stick. It's an Uvda D'Chol. Born Rav Yochanan Rav Yanai. Ma'u lishros is achiltis petzoining. Fine. The Mishnah said you can't soak it in warm water. Can you put it in cold water? Amrlei Osir. It's still prohibited. The Mishnah says you can't soak it in warm water, which we deduce from that habitzoin in mutter. It would be permitted in cold water. Amrlei imkein ma ben livalach. If that's correct, what's the difference between me, a Talmud Chacham, and you, a Talmud Chacham? There's a difference. I'll tell you what's the difference. Masnis and Yechidoi, we can't rely on that Mishnah. It's a solitary Mishnah, Das Yochid. The Tanya, Ein Shornas Achildas Lo B'Chaim and V'Lo B'Tzoinin. The Tana Kama says you can't soak in either hot or cold. Rabbi Yisrael B'Chaim and also B'Tzoinin Mutter. And that's why they couldn't rely on that Mishnah, because it's a Das Yochid. The Mayav delay. Now, what did you soak the chiltis in the water for in the first place? Leyukra deliba. It says his heart is heavy, says Rashi. Libo koved. Rav Bar Yosef chash b'yukra deliba. Rav Bar Yosef had this heavy heart. Also l'kamei de Mar Ukva. He went to Mar Ukva. Amar lezil. Drink 3 of these glasses of this chilta preparation for 3 days. He drank it 1 cup on Thursday, 1 on Friday, and then he needed to drink 1 more kos. He showed up to yeshiva on Shabbos to ask, can I make this preparation? Amrulei. You can drink this and it's not a problem of medicine. I didn't have any shaila about drinking it. What about to soak it? This happened to me. I went to ask Ravada Barav. He didn't have an answer. I went to ask Ravuna. You can soak it in cold water. You can put it out in the sun. Keman deshari. Who did he permit to soak? Even the one who was prohibiting. But you're restricted about soaking only if you never soaked before. You never had drunk before. This guy had been prescribed to drink it for 3 days. He already drank for 2 days. Now it becomes a sakon nefashos, and certainly he's allowed to drink it on Shabbos. Ravacha was leaning on the shoulder of Nachman as they were walking. Amar Leiki Matina Rav Safra Ailine. When we get to Rav Safra's house, Kimotu Alai. Bring me into the house. When we get there, boy, can you use your hands and straighten out like a laundered shirt on Shabbos? Now, maybe it's just to soften it and then shop your dummy. Then it would be okay. Odilma, you want to like clean it, make it whiter. His kavana was to soften it. We went out, they asked him, what did you ask of the Rav? He asked me, what can we do with this shirt on Shabbos? He allowed us. Why did they ask him about a handkerchief? So that was asked from Rav Huna, and he answered me that it was permitted. So so why didn't he learn the halacha about a shirt from the handkerchief? Because by the handkerchief, it appears that maybe you're doing it to whiten it. But halacha by the shirt, lo mechzikul de chivra, here, it's not apparent that you're trying to be whiten it. Rav Chisda, hi kitanisa, this shirt, mishalfu l'dido mekanya. I guess they would come back from the laundry with a piece of stick, like a hanger. It was stuck through the base yad, which is the sleeves, I guess, to keep it, not wrinkled. So when you take it off on Shabbos, Rashi says, lo yashliferim anakana v'lo akana mimena, they're muktzah, because these pieces of wood were set aside for firewood. So you have to get it off in a way that you don't touch it. Aval kanya mimena, don't remove the stick from it, usher, because it's muktzah. Amarava, the imkli kivoy, if it was a weaver's needle, an instrument that was used to weave, so mutter. Because remember, we learned that even if a kli that's malachto le'isser, it's not muktzah. It can be like you can move it for its makom. Amar Rav Chisda, hi kishta diyarka, like a bunch of vegetables, like you buy celery, you buy carrots in bunches. If it's fit for even to be fed to an animal, it's not muktzah. Otherwise, it's muktzah. Amrav Chia Barashi, Amrav Hai Talya, de Bisra, Shai Litiltula. I guess they would hang salted meat to dry on a piece of string. And I guess it was raw. And I guess
it's not a string, it's a hook. It's a hook.
Rashi says, Chevel. Basra Maliach Atolu L'Yavsha, you hung meat that was salted. Umalei Chevel Kori Talia. When you fill up the string, it's called Talia. That's what Rashi says. So, it's like they used to string sausages. You used to go to the butcher and you'd have a string and you would buy a string of sausages or something like that. But this was not cooked. That's the chiddush. It's eaten raw, and therefore it's not muktzah. However, these strands of fish, the kavri, that's usher. I guess they didn't eat sushi in those days. Rashi says, ein echol chayin. People didn't eat raw fish. So today halacha would be different. Like we had that in the Yoredei Shir on Tuesday night, that Rav Genak learns that sushi today has a different din if it's raw in terms of bishul akum. If those of you who listened to the shir last night. So here as well, we see it that at that time, a string of raw fish would be muktzah because nobody ate it. It's not roy lachila. Rabbeinu Chananel says it has bad smell. Amrav Katina, Oimid Be'emtza Mita. Whoever stands on someone's bed where a man and a wife sleep there, Ki'ilu Omed Be'kreisa Shel Isha. It's like you're standing on the stomach of the woman. But v'lav milsahi. It's not a halacha that we follow. Rashi says the maharher, it causes the person standing on the bed to have immoral thoughts about what goes on there. Now, the Gemara is going to give us some statements of Rav Chizda. It's like eitzes, good advice. Rav Chizda Barbe Rav de Zavin Yarka. Barbe Rav is a Talmid Chacham. So if you're going to the market and you're going to buy vegetables, Lisbon Aricha. Look for and this is what I was saying about the bunches of celery or carrots. Basically, they would put the same amount of the number of these items with the same number of words in every bunch. So he gives you an eight to buy the longer ones because you'll get more bang for the buck because the number is the same. Kisha kikisha v'urka memela. Right, the number in the bunch is the same. Rashi says they're the same thickness, but each one, if one of them is longer, then you'll make more profit by what you're buying. Arnoch is the barbe rav de zavin kanya, a Talmid Chacham who buys a kanya. These are reeds. I guess they were also sold in bunches. Lisbon Arucha. You should buy the longest reeds. Tuna kituna v'orcha memela. Right? The bunch of these reeds are the same. The only difference would be some will be longer. If the ones that are longer, that's the ones you should buy. Arach is a barbe rav. The lo nefisha le rivta. He doesn't have enough bread for his meal. So lo lechol yarka, he shouldn't eat vegetables, mishum degorer. Eating the vegetables is going to make him hungry. But if he's hungry, he doesn't have enough bread to quench his hunger. So don't eat vegetables. Amrav chizdo ana lo ba'ani usiach liyarka, v'lo b'sirasiach liyarka. When I was poor, I didn't eat vegetables. When I was rich, I didn't eat vegetables. Ba'ani usi mishum degorer. I didn't eat vegetables when I was poor because it increases your hunger. And I didn't have a lot of money to buy food. Ba'tiruti, I also didn't eat vegetables when I was wealthy. Damina, why should I fill myself up on vegetables? I'll buy myself expensive meat and fish, and because I can afford it. A Talmid doesn't have enough bread. Lo lifza b'tsui. He should not be the one to make the amotzi, because the one who makes the amotzi is the one who distributes. He has to do it by ayin yofeh. He has to do it with a generous heart. And a poor person knows he doesn't have enough bread. And therefore, he shouldn't be botseya. Amrav chizda bar berav lo nefisha rivta lo livtza. Why shouldn't he do it? My tabi lo avid ba'ayin yofeh. He doesn't do it generously. Amrav chizda, I'm not me ikar lo avid batsana. I wouldn't cut the bread. I used to put my hand over the kli that contained all the bread to make sure that we had enough bread. And then I was botseya, because he wanted to make sure that he had enough so he could do it by ayin yofeh. Somebody who can get away eating barley bread and he eats wheat bread, so he's wasting money. A person who can get away with drinking beer, but he drinks wine, doesn't have to spend so much for wine, he can drink beer. However, Valav Milsi, Bal Tashkas to Gufa Adif. It's not correct. Better to eat healthier foods like wine or wheat and not damage your body. That's not about, otherwise you're being a Bal Tashkas, forget about the inanimate object, your goof. So you should better treat your goof better than counting your pennies. On Rav Chizda Barbe Rav de Leslie Mishcha, if a Talmid Chacham doesn't have oil, Nimshi b'mayda charitzi, you could use water that collects in a ditch. I guess that has like an oily quality. On Rav Chizda Barbe Rav de Zavin Unsa, a Talmid Chacham who eats, this is raw meat. Lisbon unke the ispeit plus mine bisra. He should buy neck meat because the neck has three kinds of. It's got fatty meat. It's got lean meat. So with one cut of meat you can taste everything. That means you have a fixed budget, and if you want to buy meat, this is the meat you should buy. Chelzel. I remember growing up. We had a Galicianer neighbor. She would always make stuffed chelzel. Like instead of kishka, they would stuff the chelzel. But that was the neck of the chicken. Aruch Chizda Barbe Rav de Zavin Kitunisa, a Talmid Chacham who's going to buy a shirt. Lisbon midinar Abba. You should buy it in Nar Abba. I guess they made good quality shirts there. V'nichaver kol tlos in Yomin. He should wash it every 30 days. The mefatile tracer yarchei shasa. And this will keep his shirt for at least 12 months. V'ana arva, and I'm a co-signer. I'm like, I'm the orev to that promise.
Guarantor.
Yeah. Like an orev, that's somebody who guarantees a loan. My kitunisa. What is why do we come up with that word? Kitanoa. By having a nice shirt, you're going to hang around with a good friends from the kita. Katnoa, you'll be in a good group. So the clothes make the man. Aruch Chizda Barbe Rav lo leisiv atzivta chadita. Don't sit on a new mat because they were moist. The machal yamane, it would ruin your clothing. Rashi says it's going to cause it to wear down. You shouldn't send your garments to your innkeeper to wash it for you. I guess it was a lady. Because maybe he had a seminal emission. These are his underwear, so it would lead to like a disgusting feeling by the person, by the innkeeper. Now, over Rav Chizda Levante, Rav Chizda gave the following advice to his daughters: Tehevitz niyasan ba'apik avraychu. You should be modest in front of your husbands. Lo tichlin nama ba'apik avraychu. Don't eat bread in front of him. Lo tichlin yarka balayla. Don't eat vegetables at night. It's going to lead to bad breath.
It's not in front of him, it's before him.
Yeah, it means in his presence. In his presence.
You can't eat bread before him. Let him eat first.
It says because some Rashi says pamim tochal.
Lo tachlin
going to eat a lot.
Gabraita before your husband. Don't eat
Before your husband means
not
in front of him. Doesn't mean
no.
before in time. Rashi
Before-
says, "Amim toichel harbe," and was gonna love. He
Yes,
sees her.
it's in your husband's presence.
He sees her eating like a glutton, and she becomes disgusting in his eyes. That's what Rashi says. And the Meiri learns like what Walter's saying, that if you eat before the husband when he's already satiated, and in other words, it looks like she's a glutton. But Rashi doesn't learn that way. Rashi learns in front of him.
I hear, but that's okay. I don't think that's what okay.
The Meiri is also a Rishon. So there's many Rashi sometimes has a different shot than some of the other Rishonim.
Because otherwise they wouldn't be able to eat with their husband. Well, it doesn't make any. It's not lo mistaber das. Okay.
Yep. Anyways, that's one of the advice he gave her, and not to eat vegetables at night because of bad breath. Lo techlin tamer b'leile, not to eat dates at night. V'lo tishton shichro b'leila, not to drink beer at night. That causes diarrhea, and that's not going to be great for their intimacy. She should not go to the bathroom the same place where he goes. Again, they'll be disgusting in each other's eyes. Or primarily, Rav Chizah was concerned that the daughter should not appear disgusting in the husband's eyes. Vikika kori abava. If somebody knocks on the door, lo temen manu elamani, she should answer, who is there, but using a feminine lashon, not a male lashon, so they don't get used to talking to other men. Then he gives his daughter sexual advice. Nokit margnita b'chada yadei, v'kura b'chada yadei. In order to, in foreplay, Rashi says, this is all Rashi, that the husband is gonna hold her breast with one hand, and the other hand in the lower region. So he gives advice the following. That's what the husband's going to want to do. But marginita achveli, he says to the daughters, give him your breast, but v'kura lo achveli, but don't let him go down there. Adim itztaron, until he gets, he's all fired up. V'hadar achveli, then you can let him go there. And this is to stimulate his desire, and which will lead to better pruervu. So that's Rav Chizda. Ein shonas karshinon. Then we said we don't float the beans because there might be boirer. We don't have any problems at all if you put it in a sieve. Mishnah. Gorfin milifnei aptam. Let's say you're fattening up an animal. You're allowed to give him straw to eat. And the second, let's start him there. You can move it aside from where his excrement is to keep it clean. If he's out in the field, diver abdoisa. The chachamim prohibit. We don't. What for? Why? We'll see. But you can. What is today? By the way, today is Thursday night. Okay, I have surgery tomorrow morning at 7:30. I have to take somebody's stone out. a doctor. So I had to put him on the schedule tomorrow. So I
You
can't
want
learn
to-
in the morning, but I'd like to learn in the afternoon, like
Okay.
we've been doing.
What time?
Well, tell me, is it 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock? What you tell me what the best time is.
5 is okay with me. I don't know the others.
Shul 6:25, maybe 4:30.
Okay.
About
4:30.
4. You don't want to do 4 o'clock?
I'll
Four-
do
4 is
4
okay.
o'clock is fine.
4 is good. Okay, 4 o'clock.
Is that okay, Mario?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's make it 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Iborlu Rabbanon Aresha Pligi. Is he only arguing on Gorfil of the Aptam? Or Asefa Pligi, or Tavayim, or is he arguing on both? Toshma, the time of Chachamim, Omer Echad Zeh v'Echad Zeh lo Yisal Kenu Litzdadim. So they answer in both situations. This machloikas is in a trough that was made out of dirt. Because there we're going to see the Chacham are concerned you're going to make a ditch there. And you're going to be boned. But if it's metal, then you can't make a ditch there, and therefore it's permitted. Is there anybody who holds at a trough made out of dirt that it's permitted? You're going to make a ditch. That there is the Chachamim hold that even in a kli, in a metal kli, you're osir. If it's made out of dirt, everybody holds it's prohibited. You can take food from one behema to another. You can take from an animal that has a clean mouth. We'll see what that means. Give it to an animal with a bad mouth. Just the opposite. You can give animal food from an animal that has a bad mouth to an animal with a good mouth. So everyone knows you can take food from a donkey and give it to an ox. But to take from an ox to a donkey, you can't. One holds that and the one who says that you can take from an animal that has a clean mouth, that's b'chamor de lesle riri. He doesn't spit on the food. The noise of the para, that's a cow, the isle riri. A chamor does not drool, but a cow drools. And when it says a chamor eats everything. He doesn't care what he eats. So in either case, you can give from a chamor to a par, but from a par to a chamor you can't give. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll learn.
Guys, sorry. Can we learn at 4:30? It's easier. I understand. 4:30 is okay.
4:30 is fine.
Okay with everybody.
Yeah.
4:30 okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Johnny, it's okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Thank you.
Bye.